Stefan Nikolic is founder and managing director of Zodiak Management, one of Auckland's largest Airbnb management companies. It's been a tough year through COVID for businesses like Zodiak, but new properties have started growing again now as tourism returns to a degree and rental property laws take effect. Stefan joins me now, and Stefan, tell us about where you've come from and how you've evolved over the last few years.
So I was actually studying philosophy, of all things, and with that you don't have many job prospects. So I got an office job, and after doing that for about a year, I decided to stop doing that and go full-time in the short-term rental management. And that was because me and my brother, we bought a investment apartment at the time, and it was just too much work for us to manage, working full-time as well as cleaning the apartment after work. So we decided to find a management company to do it for us, but at the time the companies weren't exactly what we were looking for. So I decided to quit my job and start my own.
Well, that's quite a ballsy move, to just leave a paying job and go into managing one rental Airbnb. Were you making a living then, or not quite?
No, I was still living at home, so it took a little while for things to get going, but eventually they did. And when I got up to around 20 apartments, I could afford to move out and do my own thing. So, but yeah, massive help from my parents until then.
Right. So I could just go onto an Airbnb site and book a place, but what am I getting differently if I'm dealing with you?
Well, what we do differently is basically we really focus on, the professional kind of presentation of the property. So, it needs to look like a magazine basically when the guests walk in. We organize all the cleaning for you, so that's a massive, bunch of work that you don't have to do. As is communicating with the guests, so you have to be really attentive to when they send a message or give you a call pretty much any time of day, any time of night. You have to answer that call or message. So yeah, we take all of that work away from owners, and as far as the property goes, we inspect it constantly, making sure it is up to the highest quality, because obviously that's going to translate to good reviews online. So
yeah, so it's quite labour intensive what you do. Is it still a profitable business?
Yeah, it's a profitable business, but definitely requires a big number of apartments to be, a decent profitability. So yeah,
It is profitable. So it's not just like anyone could get into this business. You do have to have a certain kind of personality, right, to really make this work?
Perhaps, yeah. You just need to be very determined and kind of pretty thick-skinned, to be honest. Which, yeah, over time you kind of get used to that, There's very stressful situations, obviously, as you can imagine, being called late at night, for example, and there's a water leak or something like that. Or for whatever reason, the guest can't get into the apartment, so you have to go out and help them. So yeah, all kinds of stuff can happen. So yeah, definitely thick skin is probably the most useful.
So you're like a roving hotel manager in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like hotel management pretty much, and you have to be really responsive to the guests, unlike with property management, where the maintenance is not like super urgent, but these guys are paying a lot of money to stay in the place, so they want it fixed ASAP. So yeah,
interesting. So you've got 55 properties now, but you did have more prior to COVID. Can you just tell me about what state the business was in prior to COVID?
Yep, so we had around 80 properties pre the first lockdown, and yeah, it was a really good company. We had 2 full-time employees as well as 4 offshore 24/7 admin team. But then yeah, after the first lockdown, we pretty much lost half of those properties due to people switching over to long-term rental. And obviously owners can do that themselves a lot of the time, so they didn't really need our short-term rental management services then. So yeah, that was...
Yeah, and did you have, how did you react when you heard the news that the border was going to be shut?
Oh, it was pretty devastating because obviously, straight away I knew, the business is, going to be massively affected. And unfortunately, we had to let go one of our full-time employees here, as well as the admin team in the Philippines. So then it was just myself and the operations manager, Ariel. And we were, the 24/7 team up until quite recently. So it's been a pretty intense year.
So your properties are mainly in central Auckland and surrounds, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us about domestic tourism. What's happened over the time? Has the market changed in the last year?
Yeah, so domestic tourism is still, that's basically the only group of tourists we've been getting until recently. And demand to Auckland isn't that great from domestic tourists, because domestic tourists mainly want to go to the beaches during the summer, obviously, and stuff like that. But we do get a lot of business travelers coming to Auckland, at least. So, and there are some people that are interested in coming to see Auckland City as well. So yeah, but it's been pretty weak demand in general.
Right. But you're looking at a better year ahead potentially because of the Trans-Tasman bubble?
Yeah, so already things are picking up. We are getting a lot longer lead times for bookings, which is a sign that people are planning ahead, so that confidence in travel is back. And a lot of those bookings are coming from Australia now. So, yeah, that's really promising.
That's pretty brave, given that the bubble opens and shuts and opens and shuts.
Yeah.
But you think they have confidence in being able to come, obviously.
Yeah, they must do.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. And what about these recent rental property laws? How has that affected your business?
Well, there's been recent changes. Obviously, the main one is the not being able to claim back interest on your mortgage. Obviously, that's going to be phased in over the next 4 years. But that is only affecting residential property, whereas Airbnb and short-term rental fits into commercial property. It's a commercial activity. So, no, I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I can tell, that law does not apply to commercial activity, and therefore it doesn't apply to short-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as well as the recent tenant changes, that is making short-term rental more attractive for some property investors as well. So, for example, if it's 28 nights, it doesn't fit into the Tenancy Act. So anything under 28 nights is short-term rental, and basically you're in charge of having to create your own agreement that the guest needs to obviously comply with. So it's a totally different business model than regular rental.
But if people feel that long-term renting is too much bother, they might start putting their homes up for Airbnb more, do you think?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So we are getting a lot of owners switching over because of that, because it is becoming much more, I guess, more difficult in general for property owners to do regular rental, and a lot of them are switching over to property managers, but short-term rental obviously gives you the benefit of it being hands-free plus earning extra income, so it's a pretty good option.
Yeah. Why is Airbnb so popular in general, and what do you think? Will it become more popular in the future?
Yeah, I think so. The main thing that people are looking for increasingly when they travel is getting away from that kind of, cookie-cutter hotel room, and they want to feel more like a part of the place where they're staying, so like a local, and that's the vibe basically that Airbnb is tapping into. So, with that, for example, as far as the decoration of the apartment goes, it needs to be personal. It needs to have some kind of touches to make them feel as if they are actually in Auckland, in New Zealand, and not just in any hotel room anywhere in the world. So yeah, and I mean, the only real difference between what we offer in a hotel is room service. So if you want to pay $100 extra for room service, that's up to you, but
Yeah, that's right. And what will your company look like in 5 years' time, do you think?
So yeah, I mean, I kind of see this business model as a hotel that's spread across the city. So yeah, mainly we'll still be in the city. Hopefully we would have spread to other cities in New Zealand and possibly Australia. So we're always keen to grow, and we always will be. So hopefully it'll be a good 5 years.
Stefan, thank you very much for talking to the NBR.
Yeah, thank you.